war involving the United States, Iran, and Israel has entered a dangerous and highly volatile phase, with military operations intensifying and global consequences becoming increasingly severe. What began on February 28, 2026, as coordinated U.S. and Israeli strikes on Iranian targets has now evolved into a wider regional conflict. Iran has responded with missile and drone attacks across the Gulf, while also targeting shipping routes and energy infrastructure. The Strait of Hormuz, a critical artery for global oil supply, has become one of the central flashpoints, with disruptions affecting nearly 1/5 of the world's oil trade. Behind the scenes, U.S. officials are actively weighing whether to expand their military presence in the region. Plans under discussion include sending thousands of additional troops, primarily to reinforce existing deployments and secure maritime routes. The objective is to ensure the safe passage of oil tankers and commercial shipping through the increasingly contested waters of the Gulf. Military planners have focused particularly on the Strait of Hormuz, where Iranian forces have used drones, missiles, and naval mines to disrupt traffic. U.S. officials believe that expanded air and naval deployments could help stabilize the situation, but they also acknowledge that full control of the waterway might require operations closer to Iran's coastline, a move that carries significant risks of escalation. At the same time, discussions have extended to strategic targets such as Karg Island, a vital hub for Iran's oil exports. Earlier in the conflict, U.S. airstrikes destroyed more than 90 military sites on the island while deliberately avoiding energy infrastructure. Analysts warn that any attempt to seize or directly control such a location would be highly dangerous and could trigger severe global economic consequences. The scale of the military campaign has already been substantial. Thousands of strikes have been carried out across Iranian territory, targeting naval vessels, missile systems, and military facilities. U.S. officials say these operations have significantly degraded Iran's capabilities, though the country continues to launch retaliatory attacks across the region. Israeli forces have also expanded their operations, striking Iranian-linked targets and notably energy infrastructure such as the South Pars gas field. That move marked a major escalation, prompting retaliatory strikes and raising fears of a broader energy crisis. Despite the ongoing escalation, President Donald Trump has publicly denied any immediate plans to deploy ground troops. Responding to questions about military expansion, he said, "No, I'm not putting troops anywhere. If I were, I certainly wouldn't tell you, but I'm not putting troops." This statement contrasts with internal discussions that suggest contingency plans for troop deployment remain under consideration. At the policy level, the administration has outlined ambitious objectives for the war. A senior official stated there has been no decision to send ground troops at this time, but President Trump wisely keeps all options at his disposal. The president is focused on achieving all of the defined objectives of Operation Epic Fury: destroy Iran's ballistic missile capacity, annihilate their navy, ensure their terrorist proxies cannot destabilize the region, and guarantee that Iran can never possess a nuclear weapon. These goals reflect a strategy aimed not only at immediate military success, but also at reshaping the regional balance of power. As the conflict expands, so too does its financial cost. The Pentagon is preparing a massive funding request that could exceed $200 billion, covering ongoing operations, replenishment of weapons, stockpiles, and potential future escalation. When asked about the scale of funding, a defense official remarked, "Well, as far as $200 billion, I think that number could move. Obviously, it takes money to kill bad guys." So, we're going back to Congress and folks there, too, to ensure that we're properly funded for what's been done, for what we may have to do in the future. This request is expected to face resistance in Congress, where lawmakers have raised concerns about both the financial burden and the long-term strategy. Public opinion is also cautious, with many Americans skeptical about the prospect of a large-scale ground war. Meanwhile, the global economic impact of the conflict is becoming increasingly evident. Disruptions in the Strait of Hormuz have caused oil prices to surge, while attacks on energy infrastructure have further destabilized markets. European leaders and international organizations have called for de-escalation and the protection of critical supply routes, warning of severe consequences if the conflict continues to intensify. The humanitarian and security situation across the region is also deteriorating. Iran has carried out strikes on neighboring countries, including Oman and Gulf states, while U.S. and allied forces continue operations across multiple fronts. Civilian casualties are rising, and key infrastructure has been damaged in several countries. Despite the intensity of the campaign, there is no clear timeline for when the conflict might end. U.S. officials have acknowledged that the duration of the war will depend on evolving battlefield conditions and strategic decisions made at the highest level. Intelligence assessments indicate that, although Iran's military capabilities have been weakened, its governing structure remains intact. The Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps has consolidated power and continues to play a central role in both military operations and internal control. This reality complicates the path forward. Even with sustained military pressure, the prospect of achieving lasting stability remains uncertain. As the war enters its third week, the United States finds itself at a critical juncture. Military gains have been made, but the risks of further escalation are growing. The possibility of deeper involvement, including expanded operations or troop deployments, remains on the table. At the same time, economic pressures, political divisions, and international concerns are all intensifying. The conflict is no longer confined to a single battlefield. It has become a regional crisis with global implications. For now, tensions remain high, and the world continues to watch closely as events unfold, with no clear resolution in sight.